Hello, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we haven't had a chance to wish you yet because there hasn't been a video. So this is the first one, and I'm just doing it here on the sidelines. This is going to be a BTC special because I do understand that a lot of you might be a little bit interested to see what's really happening, and I'm here to do that for you, no problem at all. Don't forget, none of this is investment advice. It's purely educational, of course, with a focus on Elliott waves, where it's one of my main skills, I would say. But of course, to find out more about macros, you are more than free to join my Discord channel. There is two different versions. One is free, of course, the other one is paid. There is some updates sometimes about the economic environment, what's going on with interest rates, because they are very affecting, of course, cryptocurrencies. So without further ado, let's have a quick look on BTC macro and also micro outlooks. And there's been a change in the short term to cater for the latest price movements, and due to the fact, I would say mainly that none of the other short-term counts would make sense, because things tend to get a bit complicated when volatility is low and structures don't make much sense, which bears the question of whether we are pretty much consolidating, and this is one of the cases. So let's jump to the brave new coin index first, and then we'll go on BTC. So here we are. This has been my count for a while. Supercycle wave 3. We are heading for cycle wave 4, and we're very close to ending cycle wave A. Then we're going to get B, and then we're going to get C. Now, if you asked me a month ago, I was between these and a potential leg to the downside as the final leg, and then further move to the upside. And that is why we'll have some variations, some alternative sort of counts I will show you in a minute. But now I'm a bit more confident about how things are panning out, actually, because given the macro perspective and the fact that the US economy still remains robust, although I've got to mention that the fact that unemployment fell, because maybe you're wondering, what does this mean with the latest NFP? Unemployment falling, guys, isn't necessarily good especially for the Fed, because it really hints at an increase in wages going forward, because there is more demand for employment. And since employment also has been falling, the NFP was like the 5th consecutive one that actually, delivered less numbers, regardless of what the expectations are. We're not talking about this right now. So, because of this, though, I do think we're going to have kind of somewhat of a bull run here for the wave B, probably following the next hike for the Fed, because I have a feeling the Fed, it's going to perhaps even increase the terminal rate, which means, if the next meeting is again bad, we're going to get the last wave to the downside. And then from there, probably markets will start pricing in May or June, where the terminal rate is going to be hit, because markets are always, they've been trying actually to outrun the markets for a while. The markets have been trying to outrun the Fed for a while now, and they have been failing. That's why we have been falling. But this time, because we are getting to, in a less than half a year, we're going to have the terminal rate being reached. So probably going to see something like this, and then probably going to get that crash down. And from there, we'll start probably moving up closer to the end of 2023, perhaps even 2024. I know there is a halving in the middle, but if we get a recession, guys, who is really going to have to see that. You might ask who's going to buy now. Well, you know who's going to buy now. It's the same thing that happened over here. There was FTX. Now there is no FTX, but it might probably be someone else. Anyway, that was a large parenthesis. So this is my long-term count, guys. And as you can see, this is the expectation. Let me just actually go down to the 12 hours. We can also see that panning out okay here. So yeah, this is wave 1 and wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the change, as you can see. Last time, if you have been watching my videos or if you remember, I called this 1, 2, 1, and 2, which is still the case, of course, right? And then we'll get 3, 4, and 5, and 4, and 5. But is that this thing that I've been telling you about, and maybe you can call me a little bit biased as well. I've been talking about the economy, but it looks like, you know, that the Fed is going to go for a bit more aggression here, in my opinion, due to the unemployment rate falling, because it's not really market positive. Yeah, I've changed that third and fourth here because we also fell below the 100% of wave 1 and 2, which means literally wave 5 can do whatever it wants because wave 3 is larger than wave 1. And also, you know, looking at the, by the way, I use the Osmo oscillator and the volume flow indicator. It looks like more of a third wave, you know. So, and a third of a fifth, I may add, because it's not as much larger than the first one. The only thing I don't like about this particular case, guys, to be fair with you, and this is kind of questionable, it's because we have two flats. You know, you got one flat over here, and then you got another flat over here. Okay, and supposedly that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to go closer soon. But can be questionable. What do I exactly mean with this? Well, you know, we could have, although I'm not really fan of this, a leading diagonal here and wave 2 instead. That would make it more of 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5 case, to be honest. But still, leading diagonal and a third is possible. However, if we get the leading diagonal, there is overlap between 4 and 1, which means we'll go back to the drawing board. We cannot have a leading diagonal, even if we had the overlap and we assumed we have an ending diagonal, because the first wave of the ending diagonal has to be an ABC, you know, not a leading diagonal per se. Unless then if you came and told me that, well, what about this being 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for wave A, that B and then C, and this is indeed wave 1. Well, it is possible, but not much likely, because, you know, if you look at the duration of waves 1 and 2 in this, and perhaps even 3, in this particular leading diagonal, then the fourth and the fifth in here are like, they don't even exist. So it's not that much likely. But anyway, yeah, the two flats are possible, but it's rare. And that is why I'm not really liking it as much. But I've weighed a lot of things. And that's pretty much my base count now, okay, my main count. Before we go to the shorter term, I want to show you a variation in the fifth over here. Which one is this? And how is that in variation? Hold on. For 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And all right, I have this as a first and second, or what did I do here? Yes, that's the difference. I kind of use this as a 1 and 2. No flat here or something like that. I should probably just be here, that one. But it's the spike here that overlaps, but that assumes that wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, that's going to be like a flat, an ending diagonal. Okay, this is the assumption here. Because there is this tiny overlap, which that's what I was saying before, it's questionable, because spikes like this, that they just tap into the area and come back, sometimes can be considered to be non-overlapping, if that makes sense. So yeah, the assumption would be here ABC and 2, and then ABC and 4, and then ABC. It's kind of still questionable, because if you look at the length of wave 1 versus the wave 2, it's like the third one is exactly there. Maybe I've moved it a bit too much here. That should be there probably. And that should be there. And the one should be here, there. Kind of questionable whether this is 100 or not, you know, so that's why it's not the main. The one of the alternatives we have been looking at is actually one that I think it's the most probable that if we don't get what I'm looking for, is this being wave 8 finished here, and this is going to be a bull run that is going to be coming sooner than I expect, to be fair, with this being a correction in wave 2, and that is going to be the cycle wave B, and from there we're going to get another leg to the downside, 5 waves to see that through. So we would have a flat over here with this move to the downside considered as a irregular wave B. Okay, you see that the 138 pretty much is exactly where we stopped, which would then mean that, you know, maybe it could be a running flat case, which means if that's indeed the case, we're going to go to at least 2097, 21K, let's say, because we would have to respect the rules for running flat. But this could literally turn into, you know, an expanded flat, which means we would go above wave A here, 105 of any, maybe 2250 above that level. So it becomes a little bit more bullish in that particular case. There is a triangle case where we looked at before. That assumes that we're still going to go down, and this is just the first wave, and that actually is probably the most bearish case for now, at least for the medium term. I will say for the half of 2023, or maybe the second half as well, who knows. The other one is the ending diagonal, which comes as an ABC from the top all the way down, 1, 2, 3. The fourth is not, I didn't put it here or here because it's not clear whether it's done yet. What we really care about in this particular case is the length of wave 4 to be smaller than wave 2, so we'll have a contracting diagonal. So whether 4 is finished here or not, it's not sure, but we can assume that it's a done case, okay? I mean, and bring that over here. I just don't like to see things popping out from trend lines when it comes to ending diagonal. So that's why I left it here, because indeed, you know, it's very likely that this is something like of an ABC, and then we're going to see that falling lower. The double zigzag scenario of for W, X, and Y here, which means X is the alternative variation B of the alt, okay? So either flat, or perhaps, you know, could have a running triangle here, A, B, C, D, and E. And then the double zigzag alternative, which is like this is W, X, and Y, and A, B, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 again, and we'll go back to the ending diagonal sort of uncertainties that we had been considering, and we had just mentioned, I just mentioned like a few minutes ago, whether this is a flat, an ending diagonal or not, with the overlap or not. Now, there is something important to take from all of them, from most of the counts. I would say that there is only one more leg to the downside in the short term. So that means, you know, technically speaking, one below the 1543. That makes me a little bit more bullish in the medium term, I would say, but I'm still short-term bearish, if that makes sense to you. Okay, so let's now go down to the 4-hour perhaps, and that will I'm going to get the short-term up here. Okay, and my expectation, as I said before, is for this to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, which means this is 1, 2, then 3, 4, and 5. So now, based on what we do know with Fibos, if this is 1, 2, 3, and 4, we should be looking for, well, the previous low, 1365, 1260, and 1136 or so as potential ends of this first leg to the downside. Equally, if this is an A, B, and a C, we can take the length of wave 4, or height if you want to say, and measure the 100%. That means that we could be looking to 13256, but anywhere in between as well. This is kind of a measured move thing. 1325, the 13 territory comes into the space again. And the other one, because we use the net distance between waves 1 and 4 so far, we can just do the 1, 2 as well, you know, so that you can see for yourself that the third wave is bigger than one. But also use the 2738 and 61.8 as potential lows. And the 13 territory comes into again the 14K, 1450, and you see how that works. Now, is there a cluster? If we assume this is wave one indeed, and we're going to get wave two approximately around 17K, who knows, 18K, whatever. Well, look, we do get 1450 and we do get the 1400s again, and then they're around 1450, 1350 and 13. So it seems like it's a case where the round levels start to become a bit more important, guys, and you should always pay attention to these. Since we are here now, let's do this properly. Usually the third comes out, doesn't it? And the fourth comes back in. Well, we are above the median line now, so, you know, the assumption is that wave 4 is finished and then there's no overlap, but we could see another leg up. Okay, so this is one of the short medium-term variations. I would say that this might turn out to be a W, X and Y. Okay, with the W, X and Y though, you bring into the picture wave Y, and wave Y can literally be anything you want down here. So maybe we'll end up being a triangle, you know, and still that's going to be a valid case for a 4 without an overlap, you know. But what I'm saying is that there is potential that we get up to around the 1855 without overlapping wave 1, and we're still going to be in this impulse move to the downside. Okay, so there is that potential, but judging from the duration of the corrections and all that stuff, we're looking for a potential, and the fact that looks like we have 5 waves coming down here. It looks like to me this is a done case for a potential for a wave 1. We are correcting in wave 2, okay, and from there, you know, this is 1 and A, B and C for 2, then we'll go down for 3, 4 and 5. Alternatively, okay, we don't need this any longer. Look, I've also got these things in mind. One is that this is indeed 1 and this is A, B, and we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 for C. We're going to end with an ending diagonal and then fall. That means that we are bullish in the very short term versus, you know, very bearish in the very short term. And then we're going to get the correction up and then down. So the difference between them two is that in my main count, and I will tell you why, I am expecting this to be a wave B. Now, it's not really sure whether it finished or not. We do have kind of truncation here, but it's considered to be a double top, maybe even a triple top, to be honest with you. And why am I assuming this is a wave B and we're not done with B here and this is going to be a 5-wave move and then down? Is because of this leg to the upside. It looks very corrective, and that is because there are overlaps, and mainly it's this structure, because supposedly that has to be a third wave. Now, if this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, it doesn't make sense because the rules don't apply for a potential diagonal. And then you might say, well, what if there's no overlap? Fine, there's no overlap, but then this is an ABC. Or you have to assume 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then 1 and 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then you're going to get the 5, maybe even finished. But this is not how a third wave starts. It's very overlapping over here. If you look at it internally as well, if you go down on the 1, now you can do it yourself. So that is the reason I expect this to be an ABC. Although I will be honest with you, I don't like the fact that if this is we're going to get an ABC here for a B, and then we're going to get the C. I mean, you know, the wave A is very fast and wave B is not even done yet apparently, right? So look at this. I mean, you know, and the lower degree wave A is so much larger than wave A that, I mean, takes the duration we're talking about, right? But, well, that's the thing I don't like. So, you know, with that in mind, we can also bring a potential W, X, and Y into the game plan, and then we fall from here. And equally, if we go back to the yellow in the short term, you know, if this is wave B, then we might as well just have a different wave B, which means this is perhaps even a triangle in wave B, and then we're going to get C, and then we'll fall down. So literally, we are correcting. That's what it looks like to me. And that's why I believe we are in a wave B or X or anything else, but unlikely to be in an ending diagonal. That's why the yellow, which I'm expecting to be an ending diagonal, by the way, not an impulse, as an ABC here, right? 3, 4, and 5. It's not my main scenario. So guys, this is all. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you find it useful. If you do, let's not forget that you get a daily video in my Discord channel, okay? In the free Discord channel. Now, if you want, of course, there is a lag on them, but if you want updates, feel free to contact me on Discord, and I will see if I can do a special package for you. Since we're in the new year, I understand that a lot of you might have been on a hard situation if you had funds on FTX, or pretty much, being in the bear market all this time. So thanks for watching, and we'll speak again hopefully soon.